Our guest today is Kody Kellom from Born and Raised Outdoors, and we're talking about all things hunting, how he got started, how people can get started later in life. He's a great ambassador for hunting and the lifestyle in general. Born and Raised Outdoors puts content on YouTube and Instagram. They've got a podcast. They're kind of one of the first big online social media hunting channels. There's really 4 guys associated with it, and unfortunately we only have Kody here, but like I said, he does a great job, and I could not be more pleased not to have him on the show. Not just on the show, but actually here in the shop studio with me. That's not super common. You will find out why. Not only is he from the area, he's really from the area. And so with no further ado, Kody Kellom from Born and Raised Outdoors. First off, thanks for coming. And I want to start, I got this email from a listener. It was some of the most helpful feedback. He's like, look, every time you have someone on who does YouTube, all you talk about is YouTube with them. And I was kind of like, and he's basically said like, I'm not really that interested in that, just FYI. And it hit me just like a brick. I was just like, oh yeah, good point. And this is, so while I would love to talk about YouTube this whole time.
We'll just set a lunch date for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to talk about hunting more, which is actually probably more fun to talk about anyways. So maybe start, give the viewers just a tiny background, and maybe start with who taught you how to hunt, how you got into it long before Born and Raised, and just sort of what your upbringing was, and then you can tell us about Born and Raised.
So it's interesting enough is I'm here on Road, which I grew up on. My parents live about 1.8 miles down the road here.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in Sportsman's Paradise, literally living on the river, had the opportunity to duck hunt before school, do it all. And my dad really was the guy that he facilitated every opportunity as a kid. And he even changed his personal hunts to make sure that I had fun. And so that was a big, specifically when I was in 3rd grade, 9 years old, it was my time to get to go on an elk hunt with him. So,
wow.
Did the drive up the Cascades, hunted his stomping grounds, had an amazing experience, saw an elk, heard an elk bugle, and like from that point on was hooked. So archery bow hunting elk was kind of like the catapult for it.
Let me go back 2 steps. A lot of places in the U.S. and probably the world kind of understand their local hunting area well enough to feel like it's amazing for the outdoors. Like anybody in Utah or even Arizona and Idaho, and even like Texas and back east, there's aspects to hunting and fishing that locals will speak about it like, well, this is the place.
Yep.
So make the case, or at least explain to people what it is about this part of Oregon that makes it nice for outdoorsmen.
I think the diversity and the opportunity. You're an hour from the ocean. You're an hour from the Cascades. You live in. So we've got steelhead, salmon, smallmouth bass on the fishing side of it, some trout, and then on the hunting side of it, we've got great waterfowl hunting here, amazing elk, black-tailed deer. Now Columbia whitetail, bear, like the whole gambit of pretty much any species in the lower 48, you can chase within the state. So aside from moose and just a few other things. So it's really, for me, and now traveling and seeing a lot of things, like there's a lot of cool destinations to go hunt, but it's always kind of like back home still has a big chunk of my heart. So
yeah, that makes sense. Some places in the Midwest, it's like there's great hunting for white-tailed deer.
Yep.
Or something
turkey.
like that.
Yeah, I just went and experienced that for the first time. And it was, we went to Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And there was like some similarities about like terrain features, but different hunting in the hardwoods. Huh. But the culture, is totally different. Even the hunting culture is different in that sense.
In what way?
It was, I think there's like out there's whitetails and turkeys, and that's like the 2 strongholds of how, here you can elk hunt, you can bear hunt, all these other aspects. And so there's some people that dabble in like turkey hunting here, but it's definitely not like a stronghold where you go back there and it's like everyone, turkey opener, they're not working, they're going hunting that day.
That makes
so
sense.
It's just, I went to Arkansas duck hunting this last year, and there was every gas station at 4 a.m. was busier than it was at noon.
Wow.
And everyone's towing a boat, and the 9-year-old kid can blow a duck call better than I ever imagined, and it's just, they, like in Arkansas, they figure out how to work so then they can take off, because their duck season's only 60 days, and they hunt every single day for 60 days. Like that's just,
wow.
So a lot of like trades guys in trades, and they'll work all spring, summer into the fall, and then come November 1 or, those openers, that's what they do.
That's interesting. In terms of culture, like people who don't hunt, myself included, you can kind of think of it as a more general thing, like, oh, you're like getting ready for a hunt or like stopping at a gas station. But I don't know, I could imagine the vibe being so different, between a hunt where you're hiking in the Rockies or around here for elk or deer or whatever, versus having a boat on and all the gear that goes with the boat, and even all the preparation that goes into getting a boat. That would be a very different culture. Even though they're two hunts, it would be quite different.
Yeah, it is. And like the waterfowl side of life is, I think I don't know, I wouldn't say community based, but back there's like duck lodges. And so people, a lot of times they save up and they buy into this duck club. And there's a clubhouse that on the weekends, everyone drives from wherever they live to go to the duck shack and stay at the duck shack. And it's, I don't know if a fraternity of sorts, but I mean,
it's like a country club.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's all about, they go out duck hunt in the morning, they come back, they have a big meal at lunch, a big dinner, tell stories, sit on the porch, smoke cigars. It's just like that's what they do.
Wow.
So yeah, it was neat to see the difference, we're here, not like that at all.
Yeah. So at what point, like you said, I should have given that context, but I'll circle back, where we're at. And we don't have every guest in the studio here, in the shop studio. So this is cool.
Yeah.
And in case you guys missed that, Kody grew up on this road, which we're outside of town. This is not like some major thoroughfare. It's basically a dead end road. So we're on his home court right now, more than anything else. And anyway, so you're duck hunting on the South Umpqua here.
Yeah, South Umpqua right here, like literally.
School.
So Cruz Farms, like when Don had permission on all their ground.
Wow.
I had trails cut in at like the Baumgartner's house, like all these houses along the road, to go access different points of the river. Grew up with a lab, so it was just like, I don't know how many times I went duck hunting. Like I said, in grade school, my parents would let me go down to the river, take my dog. I'd have my decoys. I'd hunt for an hour, then catch a ride to school.
Wow.
Killed my first deer actually. Right. It used to be a prune orchard right at the Curry Quail Junction.
Really?
Yeah, I went with my bow. That was my first big game kill with a bow. Yeah, first duck, first goose, pheasant, quail, all that was on this road. So
in case anybody was wondering how they came up with the name Born and Raised Outdoors,
yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure everybody else in your crew's kind of got the similar story, right?
Yep. So no, it's been a blessing, like I said. And now being a father and having kids and the interest level peaking with them, it's cool to kind of, it was fun for me. Like this last year, my dad drew an antelope tag. So it was just him and I went on this hunt. And I'm like, Dad, don't worry about groceries, camping gear, all that. Like I've got it taken care of. And for me, it was like role reversal.
Yeah.
And he got to sit in the chair. I cooked dinner, had ribeyes for him every night. Like it was an experience that the whole time we were both smiling, because I was just like, thanks for everything you've done for me and the opportunities you've paved. And now it was a chance to repay him. So
I'm learning that, as I've got a bunch of kids, as listeners know, and you don't realize how much work your parents put into you. until you're doing it yourself.
Exactly.
And you're like going camping. Yeah. A lot of kids are like, oh yeah, we go camping in my family. And now I'm like, whoa, doing a camp out, I don't know. That sounds like it's a lot of work. And so definitely, to your point, saluting the parents who put in that work to get their kids a taste of it. So what about hunting? Because you're obviously, maybe not just this hunt with your dad, but even if your kids, if they're approaching that age, hunting is maybe evolving a little bit in terms of the goal.
Yeah.
What's that evolution been like?
It's, it's a little bit of a challenge to navigate it through with us making content and focusing, having a business behind it, and now including our kids where we can. And I think even more so, like I see in the next 5 to 10 years where my shifts, it's not anymore about my opportunities. Like, what opportunities can I help with them and the kids? Like Cohen, who's 4 now, when he was 3, I took him on his first duck hunt, day after Christmas over in the Coquille Valley. And
cool.
It was awesome. Like, he had his little bog boots that are, 6 inches tall, and I'm out in knee deep water, and he's like, Dad, I want to set the decoys. I'm like, you can't come out here. And by the end of it, and I made it about whenever he wants to pull the plug. I did, no pressure. So we hunted about an hour, and he's like, Dad, I'm cold, I want to go. I'm like, okay. So I'm out picking up decoys. The next thing you know, he's waist deep in the water picking up decoys with me. And so I bought him a set of neoprene waders, and now there's no puddle safe. Like, he has to go into every piece of water when he goes now.
That's cool.
But he's having a blast at it. And my daughter hasn't had the interest until about 2 months ago. She's like, Dad, I want to go hunting. So I'm going to take her on a spring turkey hunt here in a couple of weeks, and just, like I said, make it about them. And if she wants to keep going. If she's like, I'm done, like, let's go have breakfast.
Yeah.
And,
build
those memories. Yeah,
that's really cool. It's like it's a fine line also. And obviously you'd probably love having your kids be into hunting, but I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's up to them.
I'm not. I think in anything, the one thing, I'm never going to push them to do something that they're not interested in. So if they show the interest and ask and want to do it, I'll facilitate however I can. And if, like, my daughter loves riding horses with my wife, and she wants to do that, then we'll spend time riding horses together. So
it's so tough, because this is not just hunting, but that concept of of pushing your kids into doing things. There was things I was pushed into doing that I really hated, that now I'm kind of like, yeah, that was the right thing. Like, my parents didn't make me, but my dad, he's like, you should do wrestling, when I was in 9th grade or maybe 8th grade. It was like the first time I'd ever done it, and I just got destroyed. It was so rough. It's like wrestling gets these kids who started when they were 4. And around here, wrestling's huge.
Yeah.
And so I showed up and just got destroyed for 3 years straight, just humiliated. And I really did not like it. And, but man, I got to admit, it was so good for me to go through that.
Yeah.
It's a little different than hunting and hobbies. That's it's almost like making your kids work. It's they're definitely going to not like it, but tough.
Right. Yeah.
Probably hunting is a little different, because that truly is I don't know.
Yeah. There's aspects, I think, for us hunting. I love backpack hunting and putting in the time and effort and energy to go places where most people aren't going to go.
So
or to explore.
Maybe that's the answer, but let me pose the question. Has the styles of hunting changed from the time you were a kid? Not just the type of hunting you do with a kid, but are people hunting in different ways now than they were even 20 years ago?
I don't know. For myself, my experience, I think my first overnight backpack, we did an overnight trip. I was 10 years old with my dad. Took a sleeping bag, ate an MRE meal, but we also brought fishing poles. So we went into a high lake, and it wasn't an intense deal, but it was the opportunity to just be like, here's what there is to do, and go enjoy it all. And so I think the one thing that has definitely increased is just youth opportunities with some pretty good tags versus when I was a kid. So I think that's good. They have, in Oregon now, they have a mentor program. So you used to not be able to hunt till you're 12 years old. Well, now you can hunt on a mentor's tag at the age of 9 for big game.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's 3 more years of opportunities to get experience. And
one thing that I've gotten stuck at with hunting, and a few different times I've decided hey, I'm going to do a hunt, and I always stall out in that process of trying to read the manual, of figuring out when and where and how. It sounds crazy, but probably to you it's like just second nature, but it's not that easy.
No.
And so how do you advise beginners in even just some of that like simple stuff, like when and where and how then not to mention different states where it's all always different.
I think now there's so much information out there, it's almost probably an overload. But like with the power of YouTube and like our whole mantra is to entertain, educate, and inspire. So that education portion is like, there's a lot of opportunities. Anyone can go do it. It's going to take a little bit of time, effort, a little bit of money, but it's a pretty daunting task to open up the regulations and be like, there's applications you got to put in for hunts and all that. I think you got to just break it down and set one goal and be like, okay, I'm going to, for a lot of our viewers, especially everyone east of the Rockies, like they think elk hunt is once in a lifetime opportunity. It's like, well, you could actually go do this every year for $1,000, $1,200 to save up, do it on your own. And so we've kind of tried to pave the path for people of pick a unit, start researching, figuring out areas, talking to biologists, go for a week and just trial by fire, and make like the biggest thing I think is people are so scared of failure. They have this fear of failure. Well, in my opinion, if it's like something you want to go do it, experience it, and that's a success. You don't have to punch a tag at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then learn from that one. Okay, cool. Next year or the year after, I'm going to go do it again. And, and then and that's the one thing like kind of took for granted is the opportunity here in Oregon over the counter. We could go bow hunt. Like my senior year high school, I worked at Waldron's and I would try to work my schedule. So, I could hunt most evenings after work. I'd run up in the Callahan's, just every day and then getting those experiences with the elk and messing up and then, finally capitalizing. It was like that aha moment.
If someone has a goal, let's say they're like shooting a bull elk is like, maybe they think of it as a lifetime thing. Fine. How do you describe like the steps needed to even get to that? Should they start with like a duck hunt and a turkey hunt, or should you just kind of say, okay, start drawing an elk tag every year and start like how would you like advise someone, or it could be a deer tag or something, but how do you advise someone to like steps to take and expectations?
So it's interesting. Like we talk about this analogy for me, spring turkey hunting, it's like bulls of the spring in, comparison to elk hunting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. On a smaller scale, but
because you call them in.
Exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. The way we go about elk hunting is a lot of similarities of how we approach turkey hunting and trying to locate and, using the terrain features to broadcast the sound and then to locate. And then the only difference is turkeys don't smell. So you don't have to worry about the wind factor, but trying to figure out a setup and how to call them in and do all that. It's definitely kind of the foundational work of how you could go archery elk hunt. Yeah.
So that would be a place to start then?
I think so, for sure. And there's a lot of opportunities on public land to chase turkeys in every state except Alaska. So there's turkeys. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And that's a spring hunt also. So it's kind of like you're not necessarily like foregoing your.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're not. And I think that's a good place to start. And then the other, is getting proficient on a weapon, so if you want to bow hunt, it's practicing every day with your bow and getting to where you have the confidence to shoot when you got an opportunity. And then just woodsmanship. I think that's kind of the lost art. I think a lot of people are trying to shortcut. They, with social media nowadays, they see all these people killing all these animals and they just want that picture. So make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and enjoying the process of learning versus just the end result.
Yeah, that's true. It's like if you don't already enjoy hiking and camping, and if that's not already a part of like your interest, then that may be a place to start.
Yep.
Before you dive into it.
For
camping, hunting, backpacking, triple header.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So.
Well, that's really cool. Interesting about turkeys. I had never thought about that, but you're right. And aren't they kind of hard to find? Like they're like skittish and a little bit like getting them actually close enough to take a shot.
Yeah, no, the eyesight is incredible.
You think of them as big dumb birds. Is that
well? And
true?
so I would say in the case of Douglas County, which is the number one county in the state for turkey population.
Really?
Yeah, it is. So like, and growing up, like the only thing I ever turkey hunted was, we got Aunt Beth's place over here. It's 5 acres, and the turkeys are fed by the neighbors, and they roost over here, and they come through by the barn, and doing that whole deal. And it's only in the last few years that I really transitioned to hunting public land turkeys. And now my pure enjoyment is just trying to find new areas and new spots. And here locally, they trap a lot of the birds that are here and transplant them on public ground. So there's turkeys kind of all over now. And I think there was some back in the day when I was a kid, but over the last 20 years, it's definitely the population's increased. So yeah, they definitely, if you drive by my place at Looking Glass, I've got 12 gobblers that are always in the driveway, and you're like, they're dumb. Now going and experiencing hunting in the hardwoods and the Appalachians and that Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, you don't see that. Those birds are always in the in the woods, away from people, away from the barnyards. And it was an eye-opening experience, and definitely a big challenge.
And you think about how those animals have evolved and how they exist in the wild, and you think of them, you kind of think of them just like a freebie for a falcon or a bear or something to snack on. But in other words, they've probably developed some real stealthy, sneaky tactics
Their
to stay out of
eyesight,
sight.
like I said, their eyesight's incredible. We do a trip every year down to California, and there's some area that we hunt, and there's a lot of open, it's like river bottom stuff. In some places you can see 300-400 yards. We stepped out, and I would just expose myself into the sun instead of being in the shadow, and didn't even see this turkey, and 300 yards just got up and flew away. And it was like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. So eyesight's an incredible feature. That's their number one defense is eyesight. So
interesting. Yeah. You always think about eagle eyes because they're looking for the mice, but it's same basic type of animal with the bird. So it's probably the similar type of eye situation. It'd be interesting to learn about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like chicks. In fact, people might be able to hear, I got to mention it, but there's 6 little chicks over. You might hear them cheeping, and I don't know if it's their eyesight, but they have some instincts as well. Like if I just put my hand anywhere over them, they start freaking out and going nuts. They're already thinking that, paying attention to what's
engineered for death from above.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I'm not used to chickens and chicks, but these guys, they don't like it if something's over top of them. I'm sure turkeys are that way.
Yeah, same deal. Same with waterfowl stuff.
Really?
Yeah, we've flown some drone stuff just for footage, and I mean, in the presence of that overhead, boom, they just take off flying. Yeah.
Did you? So you were hunting as a young kid. Did you have an interest in video and content and kind of filming things as well? A lot of people do that when they're younger. Were you doing that?
So we picked up a camera in 2007, and so I was 25, I think, or somewhere in there, and it was solely based on not seeing what we knew as hunting on TV at the time. And it was just kind of well, that's not what we do for hunting, so let's just document our own, and the goal of putting out a DVD at the time. And there was two particular DVDs that I'd seen that year prior that was the final straw that sparked this whole interest. One was a fly fishing DVD called Trout Bums, where they went to New Zealand, lived in wherever they had this little van that they bought, and basically made a road trip out of it and documented it. And it was I never had the interest to go do that, but how they filmed it and how they presented the content, I was I want to do that for hunting. And then there's actually 2 brothers from Glide, Joe and Jason from On Foot Films. And they documented a hunt in Hell's Canyon and saw that DVD and all the work that they put in, and it was that's awesome. So that was kind of the final inspiration.
So you're let's get a camera, and we're doing these hunts anyways.
Yeah. And we couldn't, I was freshly out of college. I could afford Top Ramen and can of chicken noodle soup. So Trevor, who's a partner in Born and Raised, he was going to dental school in California, and he's like, well, I got extra money from my school loan. So we bought a camera with his school loan money, and Canon GL2 picked it up and started press and record.
Holy smokes. Hey, so explain about DVDs, because that's an interesting part of like film that doesn't maybe, I don't know if it still exists, but like for a period of time, and not just hunting, but like motocross and surfing and skiing, these videos would come out, and they're not in theaters or anything, but
Yeah.
in the niche, they're huge, and there's legendary ones, and it's huge. So give us the background on the hunting videos or DVDs, or kind of what that's like.
So that was it was actually a guy here in town, James Kyle, that taught me how to edit. And he's like, well, you can put this on DVD. And he even actually in 2007, he's like, there's this new thing called YouTube. You guys should put it on YouTube. And I'm like, well, that's for funny cat videos.
Yeah.
It would have been curious to know where we would have been if we would have started in 10 years before. But so we filmed our first year, and it took me a whole year to edit the DVD, after work and weekends. And then it's like, well, we bought 1,000 DVDs. Now what? So then I had to call basically our distribution was all the archery shops. And
so you make the video, you have someone print, or what do you call it, print or produce the DVD.
Yep.
And
exactly.
you got like 5 boxes of them.
Yep. And,
okay.
And then just started, they cost us $1.20 each or something, I think, and had 1,000 DVDs we sold for $20. And it took us about a year to go through that whole 1,000. And then we launched the next DVD. That was 2008. And then 2009, we came out with a DVD. It was called The Reason. It actually had 2 seasons of filming, the 2008 and 2009.
Wow.
And so,
does anybody still put out DVDs in that way?
There's only one person I know. It's called Whitetail Adrenaline, and they do longbow stuff and spot and stock, and they still do DVDs. And so. And
what's everybody else doing? YouTube?
Mm-hmm. YouTube or kind of any of the streaming platforms. TV. So we did the DVDs, and then in 2013, we got approached by Sportsman's Channel. So we did a TV show for a year. Realized that was kind of a racket, because we had to pay a bunch of money to put our stuff on the air. And basically all the sponsorship dollars we raised went straight to the network.
And like everybody made money but you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then in 2010, we started a full draw film tour. So it was like the concept of Warren Miller ski films. Mm-hmm. And we rented out a theater, sold tickets, had multiple filmmakers bring their own content to it. And so that actually was what the catapult for me to quit my job in 2013 was the film tour. So we traveled around. I was at North River Boats at the time, and started putting on shows. Our first one was in Coos Bay. We did a Roseburg and a Bend show in 2010. And then 2011, we added, I think, Boise and Portland. And then it grew, and I sold that in 2017. I think we did like 35 shows that year across the U.S. And now the guy Jade that bought it from me, he's got 60 or 70 shows booked across the U.S. So he's still doing it, which is kind of cool. Like that, and it was fun. We did that. Basically, we did shows from May through early August, so through the summer, which was tough with people and schedules, but it was like the ramp up into bow season and
like a little bit of an off season to kind of like
get everyone excited. But the energy when you had, like, Boise has, I think, 700 seats in the theater. We sold it out 2 nights every year. And so having that energy of all these bow hunters in one place, and we did a big raffle and giveaway and fundraiser for a couple charities. And it was really cool.
So now these same hunts, let's say, are getting uploaded on YouTube or other streaming things, and you guys are putting them out as well. It's still just as much work editing and filming and putting it all together. And I've noticed on YouTube, each different genre has its own almost culture and like way that things work. So what is the hunting YouTube like, from your perspective, and what type of content are people putting out, and is that changing, and has that changed over the years? Yeah,
so I think we did a good job of paving the way in 2017, along with another couple creators that were doing a day-by-day documentary. So we did this project called Land of the Free, and so every day that we hunted, we made a video. So we hunted 5 states, 50 days straight.
Whoa.
So we just got tags wherever we could for elk. We had Oregon, Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, and Montana. And so we filmed until October, I think it was the 12th or something like that. And then we set the date, November 1st, we're going to start uploading. So
wow,
every day at 5 p.m. So it was just Trent and I editing, and he would rough cut, I'd finish edit. And then every day at 5 p.m. we'd have a video up.
Wow.
And so we did 50 videos, 50 days straight. And that was,
jeez,
I mean, it was great because we had a phenomenal season. We killed a bunch of bulls. I think we killed like 12 bulls that year across all those hunts. And the energy of people watching just like kind of built this bonfire that was like, just kept adding gas to it and it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And so that we rode that wave for a few years. And then this last year, it's like, maybe let's scale back the quantity and increase the quality. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of shifted to do with the same kind of concept. We didn't hunt. We hunted last year we stayed in the state of Oregon instead of traveled all over, but we had some really good tags and a lot of good opportunities.
Yeah, it'll happen. I know we talked earlier about hunting evolving just and personally separate from filming, but as your kids get older, I mean, going on a 60-day hunting road trip extravaganza is going to only become more difficult.
Yep.
Because they're going to be like, your kids will be like, oh, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Well, my son was 6 weeks old when I left, and when I got back, he had doubled in age. It's like,
yeah,
wow.
And doubling the size and everything.
Exactly. Huh? Yep. So yeah, we definitely, family's number one for us. So we've tried to make it, and kind of before we all tried to do it all go on everything. And now it's like, all right, let's two of us go here and one person go here.
Yeah.
And kind of divvy the load a little bit. So
yeah, that's really cool. So you talked about editing, and I promise I'm not going to get deep into YouTube, but talk about you. So you're still editing and putting content out, and you work in like a shared office kind of a space.
Yeah.
I work from home, and just so the viewers understand, my office it's combined with a laundry room and the entrance, and the kids are like coming and going, and I've thought a lot, like, man, I wonder if I'd be so much more productive if I had a quiet office space. But at the same time, like that, I like what I'm doing because I get to work from home, and I assume the same with you.
Yeah.
You are your own boss, so to speak. So where do you work the best? How do you edit the best? Where are you the most creative, or is the creativity done by the time the editing starts, and what that phase of like your work like?
So for me, having the office space, like I worked from home for a year after I quit North River, 2013, and then in 2014 is when I got the office at the loft. And it was like a good switch for me, because it's like whatever I'm doing, I'm kind of all in. And so when I was home, I couldn't focus on home, but I also couldn't focus on work. I had a hard time separating the two. So now for me, it's a good place to go, have things. When I walk out of there, I try to just leave that there and then come home and be present. So it's a good, for me in particular, it works well.
Yeah.
And now we actually have 2 camera guys and 2 and they edit as well. So my hands-on the editing is pretty minimal anymore. So we storyboard as best we can going into the field, but a hunt, you never know how it's going to unfold. But then when we circle back, we'll go through our field notes, and then here's what we want to show and how it works out, and then kind of just have a final review process before the video's done. So
about going in other states, it's daunting enough for me as a non-hunter to think about like going even somewhere close, because I feel like I have no idea what is behind that hill and where I'm going. Mm-hmm. And that's a barrier for me to feel like, well, then how could I hunt back there? I wouldn't know if I'm. Anyways, what's that like going in other states? It's even tougher. Are there people who are hunters generally like helpful and friendly, or are they like fishermen who are like, you ask, hey, what are you using for bait? And they're kind of like, get lost. Or what's it like going into these new places?
It's interesting. So I think there's 2 caveats. There's the guys that are willing to, hey, come check this out. And I think a lot of it now is like they want to see us in that space that's local to them. Mm-hmm. So then it's like that familiarity, or like, oh, they were successful here, or man, they struggled here. I knew, and so And then there's the other types that I'm one, like hunting numbers have been on the decline, but in the archery big game, things have been on the upside. And I think there's a lot of contribution of the content we put out of just saying, hey, we could go do this. So there's some people that kind of have, well, you're ruining my stuff or, my spot. And the last thing we want to do is expose someone's honey hole. So we really try to film it in a way that you can't pinpoint exactly where you might be able to pick out a mountain range, but then past that, it's, and there's some people that I had a guy that came to the Portland Sportsman Show 2 years ago, and he walked up on his phone. He's like, I found your camp in Colorado. It's like, which one? We've hunted all over Colorado. He goes, this one right here. And he had a screenshot from the video, and there was one pan shot that I missed that had one prominent peak in the background, but it was like 2 seconds across the screen. Wow. So he screenshot it, and then he shows me, he gets on Onyx and Google Earth, and he's like, this is how I correlated it. He put a bunch of information together, like did this whole investigation, and he went to that spot. I'm like, how was it? He goes, it was terrible. There was people everywhere. I'm like, yeah, that's why we didn't hunt it again. So it was like, wow. It was interesting that we're under a microscope so much.
So when you're editing prominent peaks and interesting crooks in the river and whatever, you're kind of like, we want trees and that's it.
Yeah, for the most part, which is tough because you can't show the beauty and the whole experience that you're seeing there. Yeah. A lot of times, we've road signs, anything like that, we try to cut out, and we miss some, and some people, pick up on it, and I camp, I've camped here for 30 years. It's awesome to see you guys here hunting. Yeah. And then you get the other facet of overall, the community we built is incredibly positive. It's like looking at the, it's 97, 98% likes. Like it's, people like it when very rarely do we get a negative comment. Where in YouTube, I mean, there's some of the trolls of all trolls on the internet there. So
it's kind of sad. I understand why cutting those things is the only option, but obviously like mountain peaks and all of these geographical features that are iconic to the area are so beautiful and such a part of the hunt. Even sometimes just the signs, like when you roll into a certain national forest and you see like that shaped sign, you're kind of like, we're here.
Right.
There's like a part of the vibe and the energy of the place like embodied in some of those types of things. It's almost kind of
trailheads for us. Like,
trailheads.
It's like the departing, and there's a lot of stuff that like only if you've ever been there, you probably wouldn't know it, but still you kind of have to just leave it off. We had a guy one year that he basically, every video we put out, he knew where, he figured out exactly where we were, like every meadow, he knew, and he'd been in that country. For whatever reason, he thought the need to like write on the comment section.
To share it?
Share it.
Oh, geez.
And he's mad at us. So I was like, well, you only know, that because you've been there, but now you broadcast it to everyone on the internet.
Yeah.
So we had to delete some comments on that one.
Yeah, that's hard to understand. That seems it's not too bright.
Yeah, it was an interesting but
I understand the people doing that because it's like this fun puzzle. It is a puzzle. It's like, I love maps. You probably do too. Mm-hmm. And like, I could look at them all day. And so getting a couple clues and be like, oh, I got to crack the code here. I can see why people would be interested in doing that. Yeah. And although, like I said, sharing it in the comments is hard to understand.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said, we want to encourage as many people to get out there and go do everything that we can do. I mean, and so there is, it has hindered us in some facets because now getting tags in certain areas or states is getting harder and harder. Mm-hmm. But at the same point, like if there's not someone there that enjoys it, when the challenge comes up from antis or some legislation, there's not a voice. So like now our big focus is more on the conservation and protection of things. I mean, case in point, we just lost the Hatchery steelhead program here on the North Umpqua. And I heard it kind of about late in the game, and so we made a big push with a couple of the local guides here. We had a ton of signatures and a lot of public support behind it, and still the commission voted against it. So
maybe explain that. What's the program? We're not talking about the fish hatchery up on the
Rock Creek.
Well, the one that burned down.
Yeah. So basically, it was part of. It kind of was a perfect storm for some like the Native Fish Society to be like, well, don't spend the money to rebuild it. And it's been a complex issue because in reality, the hatchery program doesn't, science shows and staff recommendations, like it does not impact the wild steelhead.
Right.
But it was more of a political deal. And so,
in other words, the political energy didn't want to rebuild it, and they don't want those farm fish in the river.
Yeah, because it's competing against, which is interesting. Like if you go back, I think that hatchery program started in the 60s, I believe, maybe early 70s. You go back and look, the peak years at the hatchery steelhead is when the wild fish peak. It's like all those correlate when those are doing good. So it's like if you add more fish to the system, I don't think it's a bad thing. And anyways,
that is so sad.
It really is. It's there's actually a lawsuit against it now. Like the fish, the 5 tribes here around the area, and then Umpqua Fish Enhancement Derby, and then one of my best friends, the fishing guide Scott's on, and then county commissioner all to try to overturn it. But
that is so sad.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like and just not to go into politics, but like Oregon, typically gets ran by the big cities where the majority of the population lives. But then if you look at the spread of the map and how things are voted on, a lot of those decisions were made. It was a 4-3 vote, and 3 of the commissioners that voted on it never purchased a hunting license or a fishing license in the state, but they're on the commission.
Had never probably seen the North Umpqua.
Yeah, it's tough, like having someone decide in your own backyard how to operate. So, and
that concept of hunting that is just true, where the more people are interested in hunting, it's just better for the wildlife because they take care of it.
They're stewards of the woods.
They're stewards of the woods. It's the best possible thing. Even in the most extreme case where like a guy in Africa will pay a huge amount of money to shoot an animal that's going to die anyways. It's like on paper, that can be written as such a crime, but the money goes to protect the other ones and the village benefits. And it's just a good thing. These animals, well, yeah.
Nature's brutal. Like how that animal would die otherwise.
Right. Oh, that's so sad about the fish hatchery. When I was a kid, I did some like scout service projects there, like clipping fish and everything. And it's a really neat place. That fire was devastating. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. Forest fires, we had a few big ones here the last few years.
Yeah.
Do you have any have those made big impacts on any of your hunting grounds? Has there been like total transformation in terms of how you hunt the area because of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's certain aspects of fire is healthy, and so for an overall forest, you take the Umpqua National Forest in case, since the spotted owl, they decreased logging. So then there was this decline in habitat because there wasn't some open canopy and feed and some of these opportunities for everything to flourish. But then created all these massive fuels. So when that fire started, there was no fire breaks. It just blew up. It's sad to me as my kids will never know the North Umpqua Drive like I knew the North Umpqua Drive. Like that's with the film tour, I traveled all over the U.S. And still, when I hit 138 and I'm coming down the river, it's like the prettiest drive I've been in. And now it's different, and there's some parts of it that I can appreciate with the fire and the greenery and all that, but then you look at it and it's just like devastation. Yeah, for sure. But overall, the fires were pretty devastating. I know a lot of wildlife got killed during that, but hopefully in the cycle of the next 20 years, as some of those burns recover and some of the natural seeding starts back and some timber starts growing again, it'll be good. But it's the one good thing about it is, like, I was actually up there turkey hunting yesterday, and it was just the greenery is where you don't just see the trees, you get all this new fresh growth. And
it's a different beauty. It's beautiful. And I don't know. In 500 years, nobody will know the difference, I guess.
Yeah, right. But
but for us and our kids, it's a bummer.
It is, really is. Yeah.
Maybe my last question: what's next for you guys? Are you working on any big hunts or big projects coming up? You got any like long-term cool hunts you guys would love to make a series about? Do you ever do like guided hunts where you go somewhere and some local pro takes you to find some certain
No,
animal, or
we do some collaborations that with guys doing same thing, YouTube side of life. So, and some of them have, have the, like where I went out back east, I had hunted with the guys from the hunting public and the Untamed, and one was from West Virginia. The other guys were from Iowa, but kind of turkey hunt all over. So,
so you had some kind of guides.
Yeah,
there, huh?
yeah, I had some insight on it. But we love that whole DIY process.
Yeah.
We don't have anything against guides and outfitters, but for us, it's just trying to do it on our own.
Yeah.
We have in 23, we're going to do a fly-in Kodiak Island Sitka deer hunt.
Oh, wow.
So that one's actually with Wayne Endicott that owns the bow rack up in Springfield.
Whoa.
He's been doing it for a few years, and he invited us. And so it's
whoa,
fly in with boats. He's got some mud motors for these rafts. So when we hunt, then I think it's like 40 some miles. We go down the river and come out. So in November in Alaska, I mean, weather, rain, snow, wind, all of it, we'll get an encounter. So that'll be a good one. And 24, we're hoping to go on a moose hunt and do a float trip for moose. That's been always kind of one of those bucket lists. But for us, it's tough. September's hard to give up. You only have so many Septembers in a guy's life. So
yeah,
for us, archery elk is always the forward focus.
Yeah.
We did start a new channel this, when was it, February? We started a second channel called The Flyaway, and that's for our waterfowl and turkey content.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of separating the
yeah, two. Yeah. We definitely have learned, the goods and bads of the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
And your subscriber base. And it seems like you build this niche, and then if you put something that's not right in that circle, YouTube kind of kills it because your viewers don't click on
engage
it.
with it.
Engage. Yeah. So we've already got as many views on some of those turkey videos as we did on our big channel. So with 6,000 subscribers. So it's like
interesting.
Yeah. So it's another beast though. It was like, do we have the bandwidth to do this? But the way we changed our model and the content, I think it pairs well. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing. I'm a huge fan of hunting videos on YouTube in general because it's like a lot of other, and I think I've mentioned this, a lot of other extreme sports where you get to like see and appreciate what a lot of hard work other people have put into something, and you can really see things that you otherwise would never in your lifetime, and even 50 years ago, you wouldn't see, like, or hearing an elk come in and like that whole process, that I can see that is just really cool. Thanks to, work that you guys are doing and sharing that.
Appreciate that. Our big thing is like, just think like every decision we make, is that in the legacy plan, right? You know, and I want to leave the opportunity better than what I had growing up. And we've seen the big factor there. We've seen some diminishing opportunities just here within our home state. That's like, man, when I was 20, you could go do anything, have a great experience. And it's, becoming a little bit more pay to play and some of the private timber company and access and all that. So like the more that we can do to help things for the future, the better off, leaving it better place. So. Yeah. And the litter, that's the other.
Oh,
like public land and the litter is like that. My mission this year is every beer can that I see, I stop and pick up. And there was a comment on the last video that was like, people are 80% more likely to do something if they see someone else doing it. So I was like, this is a good thing. So hopefully, it'll inspire someone to stop and pick up those cans. And
you guys are in a really powerful position there. Just like you teach your kids to do that. Well, there's people watching who it may not have occurred to them, like, oh, I should do that. But because they see you and your guys doing it, that's going to lock in. So you have a real opportunity to, do a lot of good with kind of leading the hunting, DIY hunting.
Yeah. I had a quick sidebar story. I took my son turkey hunting here right after the opener. Terrible weather, but it was snowing and raining, and he was like, Dad, I want to go turkey hunt. So we went, checked out this new area, and we parked the truck and we're walking along, and there was a water bottle laying there alongside the road, and he walked over, picked it up all on his own, unprompted. Dad, can you put this in your pack and we'll throw it in the truck when we get back? And I was like, at 4 years old, after watching me do those things, I was like, that was pretty cool. It was a big, proud dad moment.
4-year-olds are small.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But No, I think, for me, I just encourage people to get out of their comfort zone and go try something new. I think I always talk about, like, you live in this box, right? And, case in point, we're in a physical shop and you've got this area and it's like, man, I could add on to this and I could punch out and do something here, but I've never been a craftsman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to go try and do this. And then all of a sudden you got a little bit bigger box to live in.
Yeah.
And, so I put that into the experience of it. And it can be a big, daunting, scary task at the beginning. You go do it and I'm like, or you have a failure and you learn. It's like, well, I'm never going to do that again, but I can make adjustments to go do this next time. And all of a sudden your box is a little bit bigger, a little bit fuller, and and you just kind of keep adding to that. So
yeah, and it's like one thing leads to another, because once you do one little project or something, then not only is that one not as scary anymore, but now the next one doesn't seem quite as intense. And like with hunting, I could imagine if someone was brand new, you don't have to think about the Colorado elk hunt. Just get a rifle and go shooting, rip off 25 rounds into a gravel pit somewhere. And that is one of the steps that will be less likely to hold you back, when the time comes. So the more of those little steps you can do.
The other side of it that we really encouraging is for like, especially adult onset hunters that have, didn't grow up in a hunting family, is find a mentor, find a friend, someone that has a little bit of experience, but like, hey, can I come along? Don't get a tag. Just go camp, be a part of that experience. And the flip side of that, if you are a hunter, find someone to mentor, to like bring, if your kids are out of the house, but there's a young, a nephew or someone that has the desire to go, take them, do something small, take them trout fishing, start paving that way for someone. And that, like I said, just the more people involved, the better it will be in the long term.
And I'm sure there's parts to hunting that you don't have to ask, correct me if I'm wrong, but like can I come with you on your hunt? There's got to be things you can offer, like, hey, if I come on your hunt, I will wash every dish. I will be your dish slave.
Yeah,
and that's probably might make it a little more enticing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, dishes, I don't know, I guess cooking in general, but
all of those things, cut all the firewood needed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
And mostly just be cool, because people probably are most likely to invite you if they like hanging out with you anyway. So just be a cool person. Kody, thanks so much, man. This is really cool. And in case you guys didn't connect, obviously you're in Roseburg. Roseburg has a couple of YouTube guys kind of knocking it around town.
Who
here,
else is doing?
Well, just us and you. I mean, maybe there are more.
Yeah, no, that's what I think.
Everybody I meet is like, there's another YouTube guy in town. Do you know Kody? And I was like, no, but I know about him.
Yeah, no, it was great. Brady, he's in the loft too. And he's like, you need to connect with Nate. And actually Phil Rokas introduced, I came over to the house when you guys were building. That's right. And, trying to figure out what makes sense for a collaboration. So we just need to figure out what makes sense.
Did you work with Phil, or how did you get to know Phil?
So when I worked at Waldron's, he's best friends with the Backens and Tom Press. So Phil was always in there buying fishing tackle.
Oh, fishing. Yeah, he's a fishing guy.
Exactly.
Of course.
And so that's where I originally met him, and he's a riot. I love Phil, and he's brilliant. I got a funny story on him. He was talking about building drones. And so I'm like, well, I want to see one of these drones. So he, like I said, Phil's genius. He built this drone from scratch, brings it out to the house. It's like a 4-foot drone, 6-blade. He goes up, flies it. Well, he has a little glitch from the motherboard, and that thing takes off and boom, right into the tree.
Oh, geez.
And so now we're looking at this drone. He's like, well, I'd like to salvage some of those parts off of it. So we start thinking about how we're going to do this. So I'm like, well, I got my recurve bow. I got a fishing rod with a spool of braided line. We can tie this. So we tied the fishing line to the tip of the arrow, drew back, shot. I was trying to just shoot it over it and get the line and pull it back while I shot his drone with my bow. Pulled it out of the tree, and he's like, "Well, it was toast anyways, so we got a few parts off of it." But
it's like,
anyways,
if you're gonna crash it, you might as well kill it dead.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Phil was the one that actually was, wanting me to introduce me to you and your dad. So
that's
that
cool.
Was how that all started. But
well, I'm sure we'll come up with something, because in your world there's enough tools and I don't know, modifications to equipment and gear. Who knows what? So we'll put our heads together and come up with something.
I like it.
We need to get my dad there. He's obviously the guy who would be most able to help you out there. But we'll come up with something, put it together down the road. Thanks everybody for chiming in. We'll link, of course, to your channel. You guys have a podcast as well. That's if you like this type of conversation, that's your next stop, because you guys are putting this kind of thing out regularly, right?
Yeah, we put an episode every Monday out. It's called the Born and Raised Audio Experience, and we've got, for us, it was like, there's not like one avenue of how we're going to record these things. We do a lot of Q&A stuff where listeners actually call in, they get a chance on the air. We do all sorts of live recordings, remote, however it is. A lot of campfire stories too, just while we're out on the hunt recording.
Cool.
So kind of anywhere and everywhere we can get some audio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, I love what you're doing. Thanks, Kody. Thanks for checking in, everybody, and we will catch you next time.
Appreciate it.